about that. All right, so let's get started. First thing, guys, I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to section this off. I'm going to walk you through pretty much everything in regards to what I'm going to do. I want to layer this out. So I want to layer out in a way where we've got some layers going on, but not necessarily short layers, maybe medium length layers, but we get a little bit more kind of popping the natural movement in the hair, if you will. That's what I really want to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come through and I'm going to work with this season with a little bit different section. I'm going to go through and I'm going to take a little bit more of a triangle into that top area, and you'll see how I'm going to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave this front area alone. I'm going to come back and address that. So where the comb comes off at that hairline and off towards the back, right here, just by rocking it, that's where I'm going to take this kind of like a diamond section. So I'm going to go diagonal back to just in top of the ear. Then I'm going to go diagonal up to the high point of the crown. So now watch the side view. I'm going to give you this section. So I'm starting this from beginning all the way to end. Nothing's pre-cut for you. So see how this season I'm going here and then right back up towards that crown area. And what I want to do is I want to go through and obviously I'm going to come through. I'm going to detach this haircut. I think, disconnection is still something that we're doing. But you can go through and you could layer this out normally. But like I said, if I can find another number of ways to do what I already do, I'm going to locate that. So I'm going to come over to the opposite side. Okay, and now watch what I'm going to do here. I'm going to come through and get that same section on this side. So I'm going to come diagonal back to just above the ear. Okay, once I'm there, now I'm going to come right from just at that crown area. I'm going to draw diagonal up. I'll show you the section again, up to that back crown area. Okay, so now take a look at this section. And it's almost like if I look at it, and when you're looking at this, it's almost like here, that's a profile, okay? So take a look at the comb, diagonal back, and then I went back up towards that center back, and then I did the same thing on this opposite side. So I'm coming right over towards that ear, checking my balance on both sides. Now, this is critical. So just take a moment to make sure that you're balancing it, okay? Now, what about this front area, Sam, that you have dropped out? This I'm going to go through and I'm going to layer that, but I'm going to layer that in a different way. And what I tend to find is this gets too sparse in the front. It gets too sparse, meaning that it's overlayered in this front area. So I'm going to drop that out. And that's what I'm doing in regards to really trying to save that weight and that length in that area. Then notice that what I'm doing is if I come over the ear, here's the ear. So I'm going to come from that center back right to that ear. So here's that ear right there. Okay, so I want to come back a little bit more right to that point there. Okay, now once I'm here, I'm going to come back up to that center point. So it ends here in the center. Now, if you're worried about, well, if they part on the side, Sam, or if they parted someplace else, does that matter? No, you'll see as I go through, that's not going to matter based upon what I'm going to do. It's a cool way to really protect yourself in terms of overlaying this front. And I think that happens a lot of times, especially in a lot of these things that we're doing. Okay? Now, if any of you, hi Rachel, hi Marla, hi Eva, hi Pam, hi Wendy, hey Stephanie. Hope you guys are all doing well. All right, now let's take a look at my back. Now what are you doing, Sam? Now all I'm doing is just examining this back. Now once I have that, watch what I'm going to do. Now all I'm going to do is from that diagonal, I'm just going to round this out now. So see, I just round that out to those diagonal lines. So it's sharp in the front, as you'll see in the front. Take a look at the front. See how it's sharp there? Sharp, but then it rounds itself out to that opposite side. Now once you have this, I want you to isolate all of this. So I'm going to isolate this. Okay, now here's a cool way to isolate this, guys. Take the fine teeth of the comb, place it in the comb, and now just really start to turn your comb. Look how I turn it, and see how I just lifted the comb up. Now look how nice and tight I've got that. Now isolate that. And I think a lot of times, guys, having this time off, I've been able to really do a lot of exploring with things that I've been doing and just discovering other things. Also, I've been taking a lot of classes, so that's a little Mazzani trick right there. All right, now once we have this, watch what I'm going to do. The next thing we want to do is we want to separate front to back. So I'm going to separate front to back here. Sam, what are you going to be doing? I'm going to go through, I'm going to show you another way to layer hair, which I think is really exciting. Here's what I've discovered. I want to go through, create a layered effect, but I don't want to spend so much time coming back and texturizing it. And yes, disconnection will give me a lot of softness. It'll give me today's movement, today's texture, it'll do all of that. But what I want to do is I want to go through and I want to discover another way to get the end result without having to go back through and retexturize or do anything. So now look at what I've done. I separated front to back on both sides. And once again, just checking my balance on both sides from one side to the other. I find I'm going to go a little bit further behind that ear. See how I'm behind that ear a little bit? So our transition here happens a little bit more behind that ear, so we're actually filling in that area. Checking my balance on both sides. All right, so now I want you to follow me to the board here. Now when I look at the board right back here, I'm going to draw out the section for you so you can actually see that as we go through, guys. So take a look, watch what happens now. If you're doing good, just write yes. Just type a yes in there if you're doing good so far. Hope everybody's doing well. All right, so now here's what we did. What I did was I bounced my comb off of that top. So I just looked to see where does it come off. Okay, let's use a black comb so you can see it on the board here. So see how it comes off at that hairline and it comes off right back here at this point? Where my index finger fits from there, all I'm going to do is just draw a diagonal line right back to the top of that ear. And I'm going to do that on both sides. So I came from here, center point, all the way back to that ear. Okay, then from here, all I did was just circle that. So then from here, I went circle. All right, so take a look at here. From here, back to that, just at the top of that ear. Then from there, all I did was just go a circle. Okay, so once again, profile looks like this. And then circle right back up. Now, when I did, to do this circle, instead of circle right away, go diagonal again, and then just go back in and connect that into a circle. So top of the ear, and then circle that out. Okay, so here's a front view of this, how that looks. Okay, here's a back view of that. So we came back, and that's a circle from that back view. Okay, here's a front view of what we did. Okay, there's your front view. All right, so it looks more like this. That should be diagonal back, so let's do that again. All right, and not so close to that hairline. Now you can see that. Then what we did was we came in and we divided front to back. All right, so we divide front to back. Now, this season, I'm going to go a little bit behind the ear, guys, because when we layer this out, we get a little bit more kind of dense in there behind the ear, especially when we layer this out. So we're going to go a little bit more behind the ear. And I found that by doing this, it just protects that area. So watch how that just comes out right behind that ear. Not so much over the top of the ear. Now, once we're there, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to layer this back area out. See this back area here? I'm going to layer this out now. Okay? So when I layer this out, what I want to do is I want to go through and take a center part. Okay, once I have a center part, then watch what I'm going to do to control this in regards to this, in terms of layering this. So let's go center, down that center. Okay, now once I have that down that center, now all I'm going to do is I'm going to divide this again in half. So I'm going to divide this into 4 areas. For my principle-based design friends from Redken, I'm going to find the right corner back and left corner back. For my non-PBD friends, okay, if you don't understand what I'm talking about, principle-based design, all I'm going to do is divide this left back area in half, or I'm going to look for that corner back. Okay, so I'm going to divide that in half. Now I'm going to isolate this, and watch how I'm going to isolate this. The teeth, the clip is pointed up, so it isolates that. Here's center. Okay, so now I'm going to isolate this one. And now, guys, be aware of this sectioning. This is going to be critical in terms of controlling this particular back and the way that I'm going to layer this. Now I'm going to go through, and I'm going to come through and divide that. See, that's that corner back, right corner back. Once again, dry cutting clip is going up. Now I'm going to go right behind the ear, take this section. So I've got 4 vertical areas that I basically divided here in the back area. That's what I just did. Real simple, guys, so far. Okay, questions? All right, if you're with me so far, just type a yes in there. Just type a yes so I can see where you're at. All right, good. Okay, good. All right, now, take a look here. Let's take a look at the back view of this first. And we're going to look at the back view. So I did a section right over here. Can you see it? Nope. So let's bring this over here. I'm shooting with my phone today, so I'll bring that right here so you can see. Okay, so I'm right here. Now what I did was I took a section. Watch this, guys. You're going to learn from this. You're going to love this in regards to the way it's going to be layered out. Okay, let's do this black so you can see the difference. So now here's that corner back I just divided. Here's that corner back I just divided. So now I'm going to work by one side to another side, from one side to another side. But I want you to pay attention on how I'm going to layer this. Remember, what I want to do is I want to get a layered effect in a nice, simple way. Okay, so let's take a look at the back. Excellent. Okay, yeah, just type a Y if you're with me. Type a Y. Type a Y, guys. I need to see it. What kind of shears are you going to be using? Gladys, glad you asked. Okay, I'm going to work with a 6.25. Okay, so I'm going to work with a Signature Series 625. I don't want anything too long because these are narrow. Okay, if I was working with a longer area, a longer section horizontally across, I might work with a 7 or a 675 from the Signature Series, Essential, and our Streamline Series. I might work with a 6.75, but today I'm going to work with a 6.25. And I'm going to work with this because it fits the width of these sections. It's going to make it a lot easier for me. Now watch what I'm going to do. This clip I'm going to work with here is so important, guys. So watch this now, okay? Watch this, all right? So I'm going to work on the inside out, meaning I'm going to shag this, all right? I'm going to layer this, but I don't want the layers too short, all right? So what I want to do is I'm going to work on the left side of center first. Here's the right side of center. Then you have the left corner back and the right corner back. Remember, I've got 4 sections back here, okay? Let's draw this in what I'm going to do first, okay? I'm going to work right here. So I'm going to take a section, watch this. I'm going to take a section, horizontal section, okay? I'm going to elevate this section up, and I'm going to cut this short to long, okay? Then I'm going to take my next section. Watch this. I'm going to take my next section. I'm going to elevate this straight up. I'm going to use this as my guide. That's my guide. And then I'm going to cut it short to long the opposite way. So each section I lift up, I'm going to go diagonal one direction. Okay. Then the next section I lift up, I'm going to go diagonal the next direction. The starting point of the first diagonal, black was my first one. That's the starting point, short to long. Now blue is my next one. That starting point, I'm going to pinch that. That becomes my visual guide. Don't be so exact here. Go for balance. That's going to be my visual guide, and I'm going to go short to long the opposite way. By elevating it vertically, it's going to keep it soft. Now, you could do this horizontally. You're going to get a textured edge, but it's going to have more weight to it. So now, the finer, the more dense the hair is, then I might want to go in and change my degree of elevation. Stay with me. Watch this now. Okay? So here's my 625. Here's the center. Okay, watch. Now, I'm going to take about a 1/2 inch to an inch in terms of how wide is my section. Okay? Now, I'm going to lift this up. Now watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut this on the longer side. Now look at my finger angle. Let's put it this way so you can see it. Okay? Look at my angle. Okay? I'm going to square her to you now. Okay? And I'm going to bring her up just a little bit higher. So I'm going to put myself in an uncomfortable position so you can see this. All right? So here's my first section. So Sam, how short do you know how to make this, guys? Well, everything is going to come up to this. So if you're concerned about losing length down here, use the length as your guide. So maybe that's going to be my starting point. Right there will be my starting point. So watch how I'm going to go short to long. Look at the angle. Look at the angle I'm cutting. Let me give you that. Look at the angle. You see that angle? Now I'm going to give it to you with a black comb so you can see it. Okay? See that against the white wall? So I'm going short to long. So I'm going shorter in the center to longer to the outside of this. So I'm going to lift it up. And I'm going to cut it as steep as I can. Okay? Now watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this section. I'm going to take a clip. I cut that short to long going this way, so I'm going to clip that down. Look how it's pointed. Short. This is going to be my short to long. Now my next section. Watch my next section. Second section. Okay. Clip the underneath down. Okay. Yes, you're using a lot of clips for this, guys. Stay in control. So now I know I went short to long this direction. Now all I got to do is just pinch a section right here. This is my short side. So I'm going to take that piece right there. Look at it. See, that's my short side. Now I'm just going to stand on this other side. Look at my short side. There it is there. Then from here, starting at that point right there, I'm going to go short to long and cut as steep as I can. Okay? Now I take my clip and I reverse it the opposite way. That tells me short to long that direction. Here comes my third section. Now let's get this out of the way so you can see. All right? So I'm just shifting. Isn't that interesting? shifting my angles each time I cut. Here's my third one. So now I know I cut this short to long that way. Why? Because the clip is pointed in that way. So now I'm going to come through underneath. I'm going to lift up. Here comes my short piece from this side now. There's the flat part of the clip right there. So this is my short piece right here. There's my short piece. Got it? Okay, I'm going to show it to you. Okay, here it is there. There's my short piece. So now from here, I'm going to go short to long this way. And my short piece, I went that way, short to long. I go opposite way. There's my short piece. That's where it starts. Now just angle really steep and cut short to long, opposite way. Okay, now take this one. Okay, I go this direction. So the clip is pointing the opposite direction. This is my last section. So I go here, short to long. There's my guide. I can see my guide, short to long. Now I go short to long, opposite way. Okay, so all I did, guys, is I cut 4 sections here. 4 sections. First section, short to long. Second section, short to long. Third section, short to long, short to long. So you continue to shift each one. So I went short to long, then I went the opposite way. Short to long, short to long. See how I just kept doing that as I went down? And what I love about this is it just gives me this beautiful kind of layered effect in the back. Without having to go in and point cut, I'm getting really nice integrity. Here we go now. This one is done. So now stay in control. I want you to just take this one. And once again, just section this one. And now just isolate it. Okay, so that's isolated. That one's done. Now I'm going to come to the right. Okay, just to the right of this. Okay, look where I'm at. And let's get all this section here, get in control. So let's move this section. This is the section behind the ear. So now let's go to the drawing. So I just cut the left side. Now I'm going to cut the right side. So let's go black and blue again so that you can see this in regards to how this works. So here we go. Now, Sam, do these sections need to be really even? Don't worry about that. You're thinking about it too much. Okay? They can be slightly off, guys. That's what's great about creating something that's so soft. You need to relax your mindset. To get something soft, just relax a little bit. Don't be so precise. Excuse me for saying that, but I just want you to soften up the inside, all right? So here we go. We go short to long, so the center is my short, and then I go long, short to long. Now I'm going to come in. My next section is going to be the blue. Okay, now I'm going to go short to long the opposite way. Okay, and now let's go one more so you can see it. Let's go green. Okay, so I come down. I take my next section. So I know blue, I went short to long that way. Green, I need to go short to long the opposite way. So you just keep switching it. Once again, let me give you a visual, guys. And you're probably thinking, Sam, this looks so difficult. Guys, it's easy. It's 4 sections with each little rectangle section. And all you're doing is short to long, short to long. So here's my first one. Short to long, here comes blue, short to long, here comes green, short to long. And you keep using that short piece as your guide. Let's go to the right side now, this side. This is where I'm at, okay? I've cut this side already. And I know I went short to long in the center, so I want to go short to long in the center, the opposite section. So now let's use our Redken One United. I'm going to use this as my control for moisture. Okay, once I'm there, now I'm ready. Okay, first section. Remember, I did 4 sections. So take this section, and you're going to divide this into 4 sections. So if you want to measure it 2 fingers, go 2 fingers. Okay, now I know I went short to long in the center, so let's find that short to long. Here it is there. There, see, I have some of it picked up in my hand already. You can see that. Okay, so now I know I'm going to go short to long. Watch where I'm standing. So I'm going to go here, and now just cut the steepest angle you can. Don't be so precise about the angle. Just go as steep as you can. Now I know I went short to long, so let's take a clip, and let's put a clip here that signifies I went short to long that direction. Now let's take another 2 fingers. Okay, take another section. Okay, I know I'm short to long over here, so here's my guide. There's my guide. Now I'm going to go take this, and I'm going to start this side short to long this direction. But I see I'm using my short piece as my balance point. So that's my balance point. Let's pick up section number 2. Okay, here's my balance point here. Okay, let me show it to you. There's my point. See the short hair? Now that is going to be where the short hair starts on the opposite side, right there. Okay, then I'm going to cut as steep as angle as I possibly can. And I put this away and I go opposite direction. Short to long that way. Here's my third one. Okay, now I bring this up, so I went short to long this side this time. So here's my short piece there, and I bring up and I go opposite way. Oops, make sure you see how it went short to long. Stand on the opposite side. So you're going to move your body from one side to the opposite side. Okay, now I release this. Okay, now I might use a smaller shear. I could use a 5.7, 5.75. I could use that as my cutting shear, but what I'm using is my 625. And once again, I gauge that, use my short piece again. I gauge that by basically the width of the section I'm cutting. Okay, there, now release. And remember, I'm thinking inside out. So now all this center back that you see here, this has all been cut. Okay, now look at the layered effect I'm getting out of that. You can just see the layers out of that. Now, I have not cut my perimeter edge at all. I love to think inside out, guys. So I love to layer these things out. Then I'll come back in and I'll readjust to what I'm doing. Okay, questions? Okay. Hi, Omar. Hi, Mary Jo. Hi, Rhonda, Lori, Charlotte. Good. If you're doing good, give me a thumbs up. If you're doing good, give me a thumbs up, guys. All right, let's go the opposite side now. Opposite side. Watch how I'm going to go after that top in a very interesting way also. Okay, so now all of this center has been cut. So let's put all of this away. All right, and control it. So I'm just going to control this with a clip. Okay, now I'm working to the left of center. All right, so we're going to come through, take our section. Okay, now I went short to long there. So I'm going to come back through, go to the opposite side where I went short. There's my short piece there. See, I'm reaching way over here, short to center. Okay, short in the center, longer. So now I'm going to come through, cut my guide. Okay, now I'm going to put my clip, short to long, second section. Okay, now I'm going to go opposite way. So I stand on the opposite side. Okay, once I'm here, take a section, come back through, lifting that section up. There's my short piece. I'm going to slide up to that, cut straight, cut an angle short to long. Now I reverse that clip. Okay, you see how once I get going, guys, how simple this is? Here's my third piece. Okay, short to long that way. I'm going to go short to long. How do you know, Sam? Always looking at my clip. Always looking at my clip and allowing my clip to tell me which direction I went. So I went short to long this way. Last one. See, once you get your rhythm, guys, it's simple. Opposite side, short to long, and cut. All right. So I'm really getting texture. Now I've got 3/4 of this back done. Now I'm really getting texture in a very controlled fashion, guys, in regards to how I'm working with this. Look at the layers that I've got out of that. You can just start to see the layered effect out of that. Okay. Now I'm going to come through on the opposite side now. Okay. So I've got one more to do. Here's that back. So this is that last corner. Okay. Look at the difference in terms of how we started. Okay. Look at that. That's the hair one length. And look at the response we're getting out of that. What I love about this is a great way to go in and create a little bit more of a longer layered effect, guys, in regards to when you're working with layers. And it's a controlled way to create texture. Okay. Now I've got my section here on the side. Okay. Take a section. Okay. Now I know I need to go. I went short to long, short to long. So now I want short hair sitting next to long. So I'm going to go this direction. So now I'm going to grab that short piece all the way in that center. That's going to be my guide. There it is there. And I'm going to go short to long. Okay. Once I'm there, I'm going to place this section. I went short to long to the clip. See how the clip's pointed? Okay. Now I take my second section. Each section I'm taking is about two fingers in terms of height, in terms of the thickness of the section. Now you base that in terms of density, my friends. Now I'm going to go opposite way. Okay, so I need to go short to long, opposite way. Okay, once I've got that, I set that down. Clip pointed this direction. My third section, I'm going to go opposite way, so I need to stand on this side. And once you start picking this up, you'll almost start to see your guide immediately once you got about 3 of these done. Okay, now I come here, my last section, and I go opposite way. Okay, now look at the short piece, look at the short piece, there it is there. Opposite way now, short to long. And remember, I'm trying to cut these as steep as I can, these angles that I'm placing inside of here. Now, that's the entire back. Now look at how I love about this. Look how narrow that sits. It doesn't sit so triangular. Now, this is when I can come in and I can say, okay, let's knock off the length. Questions? What questions do we have? All right, any questions? Good. If you're learning here, just give me a thumbs up or give me a yes, guys. Okay, okay, here we go through. Now watch how I'm going to come through and I'm just going to release my length. And I like now, right now, I love cutting a little bit more from wet to dry. Now, when I started, this was really wet. Notice I'm not going back through and I'm really coming back in through and wetting this completely down. I'm working with its more natural texture. I think if there's any trend we're going to start to see, you're going to start to see a little bit more natural movement, people embracing their natural movement. All right, now that takes care of that back area, okay? Let's take a look at the sides now and the front. We have not done anything to any of this here. Okay, now we're going to go into this top area here and watch how I'm going to work with this top area and then come into the front, and I'll use these 2 points as a guide. All right, questions? What questions do we have so far? Any questions? All right, great. All right, let's continue into the top now. I'm going to isolate the underneath. So don't worry about my part. I'm going to come back to you and talk to you about parts and that kind of thing in a moment. Let's just isolate what we have not cut so far, which is that underneath. So I'm going to isolate this. Now I'm going to come to that back, okay? So I'm going to give you a profile view of the back. In this back area now, we've already cut the front. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give this to you in green. Watch this top area. Take a look at the top area now, okay? In this top area, I'm going to take horizontal sections. Okay, and I want to leave this length in the front a little bit longer. I want to share something with you guys. I'm going to bring all of this over directed back. So in a profile view, it's going to look like this. Okay, I'm going to elevate this up. And I'm going to take whatever guide I have underneath, that's my shorter guide, I'm going to use that as my guide. So the guide will come from underneath. That's where your guide's going to come from. Every section I'm going to take is going to be over-directed back to a stationary guide. So everything comes back to this. So what's going to happen is this is going to overlap just slightly, but it's going to match more that short piece. So you're going to have that short piece from that angle that I cut. You're going to see how that's going to come into play in regards to how it works with this back. All right, so look how I have everything isolated. Okay, once I'm there, okay, taking my Redken 1 United. All right, and I'm coming through. Now, we've got a great promotion going on at Salon Centric. Okay, from the 28th today until the 30th with Sanvia Tools. The shears on the electrics are 50% off. So highly recommend, guys, take advantage of that while you can. Salon Centric, 50% off with the shears and the electrics. All right. All right. Now, once I've got that, I'm ready to go. Let's bring her down just slightly. Okay. And you can see this. Good. All right. Here we go now. From that top area, all I'm going to do is take a horizontal section. Okay. Once I have this horizontal section, I'm going to take a section from the back that I've cut. And now you should see this in various lengths, guys. Short to long, short to long. So it's not a matter of being right on tune with that guide. It's just a matter about being close to it. Once I'm there, look how I lay that down. And I'm just going to come in and I'm just going to point cut into that. And I'm trying to stay a lot more parallel now with my point cutting. I'm not coming in so much at a diagonal. And the reason being is because I want this point cutting really soft this season. So the softer we want something when we point cut, the more parallel with the hair you need to be. Okay, so that's important. Everything's over directed back. There's my guide. I can see my guide. Watch me just lay that down. Now look how I'm going in a lot more intent and purpose with it being much more vertical up and down. Okay. And I have to be careful too because the hair is damp. It's got some moisture to it. I find when we go in and point cut hair that has moisture to it, you can tend to get it a little bit chunky. So the angle of your shear is critical in regards to the angle that you're holding at. So now watch me just lay that down. Okay, I can see my guide. It's not a matter of me cutting to my guide. It's a matter of the shear entering, and notice that the point of the shear closes. It's just a point at that point of that guide. So if you want to say, well, Sam, that seems like that's getting a little bit longer, sure. But I've also got the over direction that's making that a little bit longer also. Okay, everything brought back, another horizontal section. Okay, and now everything is brought back. So I'm bringing everything all the way back to that. All the way back, up, okay. You can see my over direction, how that everything is straight up off the head. I'm over directing everything back. Once I'm there, I like to lay the hair down with gravity. So see, I just turned my hand and I make a fist, and it just allows me to lay it down with gravity. If I keep it up here, then what happens is that hair is, see how it's laying down with gravity? It just overloops. Chances are I'm going to cut, I'm going to get too chunky. I'm going to start to change the angle of the shear because of that. Now, remember, this is more longer layers than it is shorter. And that's what I want to introduce you today. You know, I don't think every shag has to have short layers to it. Okay, remember, I'm taking this section that I have on top here. This is the section I'm working with. It's kind of a triangular umbrella section that sits on top. Okay, bringing everything back. Okay, now remember, I'm point cutting, but I'm staying really parallel. Look how straight up and down those shears are. See that? Once again, working with a 625. Sam, do you work with a 7-inch shear sometimes when you're going and doing this? Yes, I do. The length of the shear will allow you to get the depth of the point cutting. So the longer the shear is, then the deeper your point cutting is going. So you determine how deep you want that point cutting. Let me give you another example. Look how deep my finger is. Look how much length I have on top. So can you see, this is going to allow me to get my point cutting really deep inside of there. So now where I'm trying to share with you is how far you slide your hand out. Keep your head still. Okay, how far you slide your hand out, that's going to determine how deep your point cutting goes. Okay, the length of the shear will also help with that also. Now, watch this now. So look at what I've done so far. I've done that underneath, and I did the underneath, what I call a shift in terms of shifting those angles in those 4 panels in the back. I've not cut the sides or that detached fringe area in the front. Look how that's going to stay one length. Okay, now let's just kind of move this hair around so you can just start to see what we've created so far. Get this clip out. Now she should have all that length in the front. Okay, yes, it's detached, but I'm not done yet. Watch how I'm going to go after that front. Now I'm just going to give her a little spin around so you can just start to see this, guys. It's what I like about this is you could almost go in and just start to visually cut that front. But I want you to see what you got back here. Watch how as I just start to spin her. Look at that front. It's not cut. Okay, and look at the layering I've got back here. See how I've got that layering, but it's not short. This is long layering up here, guys. And I've got that texture. Now watch the back of this. Look at the back of that, how it sits so narrow. Okay, now let's go into the front. Now watch this front area. In this front area, I don't want to over layer this. As I said, when we start to layer this front, it tends to get too fine. All right, so we don't want it to get so fine. So now watch what we're going to do. If you're learning, type the word learn. Come on, guys, type it in there. I'm not moving to this top until I see the word learn typed in there. So type it in there. Okay. All right, great. So ABD, Caleb is watching. Jennifer, good. Okay. Fatima is watching. Excellent. All right, here we go, guys. All right, if you're learning, come on. There's the word learn. There it is. Thank you, Missy. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you, Nancy. Good. Throw some hearts. Come on, throw some hearts out there. Some thumbs up. All right, here we go. Now I'm going to go for a center part now. I find that a lot of times, guys, I don't know about you, but we're seeing center parts. Okay, and then you're seeing that fringe that just kind of like, it kind of does this. Okay, so that's what I want to create now. So the easiest way I found to do this is by taking diagonal forward sections. So let's work on one section at a time. We'll take this and clip this back. Okay, now watch how I'm going to work on this front side area here. On this front side area. This is a great way to get your angle in here and to get this this curtain fringe, but at the same time get an angle in there. And then what I'm finding, guys, is I want you to join me for the Redken Symposium January 10th and 11th. I've got some great, awesome, different way I'm going to cut a fringe. My inspiration right now is coming a lot from Brigitte Bardot. And take a look and research Brigitte Bardot and look at all the fringes she wore. Okay, but there's one particular one she wore that's really cool. And it's kind of a play off of a curtain. So now this is what I want to get. But watch how I need to get this front inside and get that to blend. Okay, so watch what we're going to do. And I've been doing this a lot lately. It's working for me, all right? So center part. Okay, I'll come back and talk to you about side parts in a moment. Okay, now I want this long. I'm finding that this is long, like down to the lip area here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to elevate horizontally. See, I'm elevating horizontally. Then I'm going to over direct diagonally. And I'm going to take that short piece to about her lip area. And I'm going to cut a line. If I'm standing here, this is a horizontal line to me. So stand at the side and see a horizontal line. When you see that horizontal line, drop your hand where you want that lip. That's where I want it to go. Now here, now watch me just comb this, move my hand to horizontal, and cut a nice blunt line. Okay, now watch what happens. Look how I get a diagonal line that starts to move short to long down that, all right? Now watch me go again. Okay, I'm going to give you a little bit more 3/4 view. If you're with me, thumbs up, guys. Come on, thumbs up. Okay, yep. Symposium, January 10th, 11th. Register now. Love that. Thank you. Okay, here we go. Diagonal forward. See how this section is parallel to the previous section. Now watch me get the grain. All this grain is the same. See, the grain is combed the same direction. My cutting is going to travel down that line. So I'm not taking this up and over the top of the head. I'm just over directing diagonally forward. I'm standing here on the side of her. I see a horizontal line to the path of my eye, and I cut a horizontal line. Yet, because of the way that I've combed this and the way that I'm working with this, look how that's dropping down short to long. Okay, next section. So see how I went through, guys, and I still love working with that top differently. Isolate these tops, okay? Then layer your underneath, and then come on in on top, cut the top, and leave the sides out, and then do the sides last. This is a great way to protect yourself so we don't over layer this front. Plus, you control the length in regards to what you're cutting. Okay, excellent, great. There it is, short to long. Look at that. And I don't want to go any further back. Now watch. What this is going to give me is this concept of that doing that. Okay, and that's what I'm looking for within this layered effect that I've created. Okay, look at that. Okay, great. All right. And that's what I see right now. A lot of this stuff just floating there. But I also see it, where it goes to a certain point and stops, and then in the face framing might start at a different point. Okay, let's go the opposite side. Same thing. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a slice of what we just cut. Okay, we're going to take a slice of what we're about to cut. And I'm going to elevate this up and use this as a guide. So now watch what I mean. Look. Here's my guide. See the guide? Now I'm going to match this angle to that guide. And now watch how I'm going to come through, go back to a center part. Okay, back to a center part. Now once I'm back at that center part, now I'm going to come diagonal forward. I've got my guide right there. Okay, let's go to white so you can really see the horizontal. Okay. Thanks for joining me today, guys. Hope you're getting something out of this and everybody had a nice holiday. Here I am between Christmas and New Year's, sharing something with you on behalf of Salon Centric. Okay, all the way through. Don't forget to take advantage of the tool sale today, 50% off at Salon Centric on Samvia shears and electricals. There's my diagonal. Look at my diagonal coming down. Okay, next section, give you a little bit more 3/4. Next section, diagonal forward, parallel to the previous section. Now this is what's important. Okay, some people go, why does my angle have a hole in it? It's because you've altered the way that you comb this. See how I comb this up and over? So now, watch what I'm doing. I want that grain diagonal forward. See how that grain's all the same? Let the comb, the width of the comb, let it set the angle of the grain for you. See that? Now all I do is move to a horizontal. Once I'm at a horizontal, I come through and I cut. Okay. Give you a view of that line. That's all I'm doing right there. Now, when I release, I'm getting that diagonal, short to long. What I like is I like doing it this way because if I go diagonal back, bring everything forward, cut the perimeter edge, everything forward, then I still got to go back through and layer into this. by what this does, by going in and thinking inside out, this will layer this interior inside this line, but it also gives you a softer edge instead of a solid edge here in the face framing. So this is what's great about going in and cutting it this way. Okay, now look how much hair I've got to handle. Look at me grab with a palm. Now watch the comb come underneath, and now look at it set up the grain. See that how the comb set up the grain? Let that comb set up the grain for you. Step to the side. Let me give you a profile view of that, a straight view of that, so you can see where I'm stepping to the side. See how that grain? Let the comb set up the grain, and now look at where I'm at. And now I'm cutting horizontal to the path of my eye, but when I release that, it falls diagonal. All right. So real simple, guys, in regards to what you're doing. I'm going to give you a couple other little tricks here that I want to share with you. But watch how I got a really cool layered effect. Just really going through that and just layering that back out first. All right. Let's see what we got here. Okay. Christina, thank you. Karen, Levi's, thank you for watching. Gary, glad you're here. Natalia, glad you're here. Amy, excellent. All right. Now, that was simple. So watch what I did in the front. Okay, let's go to this front. Okay, I'm going to give it to you in blue. All right? So you're going to get a middle part here. And I'm going to talk side to side right now in a moment. But let's look at this. What I did was I took a diagonal section. And every section was parallel to the previous section. Then I brought this over here in a horizontal position. But I cut it where my eyes, this is my eye, this is my eye. That's where I'm standing. So when I look at this, what I'm cutting is a horizontal line to the path of my eye. When I release this horizontal line back, it will fall like this. Short to long. See, that's what I'm doing here. Now in this next section, watch the grain. Because it's wider, you don't want to comb this. Watch, I'm going to give this to you in red. It's so important to me you get this, guys, in regards to this combing effect. So I don't want to comb this over that just like this. See, it's getting wider back here, so watch the red. See how that section expanded? That's what I mean. All this grain here is the same. Now, once again, I cut horizontally. See, by doing this, you're going to get a little bit more of a softer edge. Instead of me taking diagonal sections like this, pulling them all forward and down, and cutting a hard line in there and everything to that. Think it this way. Layer inside first and then go in and get that. If you got it, say, I got it, Sam. I got it. I got it. All right, here we go. Now, watch. Let's talk about this now in terms of this. How do I control that, Sam? Because I don't want the client saying to me, gosh, it keeps falling in my eyes. It keeps falling in my eyes. Watch. Let's just take a look at this. Okay? You can just see how that's going to float back, guys. And it's, once again, it's this concept of thinking inside out first versus thinking inside in. You know, it's an outside in, excuse me. So I like to go in there and I like to layer these things out before I go in there and get my perimeter edges. And I'm just finding that right now it's just making everything really exciting for me to go in and take that path, all right? Doing good? All right, Phyllis is good. Noreen, I got it and love it. Good, thank you. Jude, all right, great. Glad that you got that. Labana, yep, all right, got it. All right, now watch this. I'm going to take out now a different shear. I'm going to work with a reversible blender. Now, this is my go-to shear for a lot of things. And I just did a little reel where I went in and used this on a fringe, and everybody was like, wow, that was pretty cool. Well, I'm going to do it for you today and explain it and break it down how I'm working with this, okay? Watch now, okay? So let's get this side first. For example, if a client comes in and they've got a fringe and they've got a side sweeping, no matter what they got going on, and this fringe requires it moving, whether it moves back from a middle, like this, okay, or whether it moves back on side, or whether they take it side to side. Watch this, okay? So let's work on this side first. I'm going to stand on the opposite side. I'm going to take a reversible blender. I'm going to put the blunt shear on the bottom, okay? So I'm going to place that on the bottom. I'm going to take a diagonal forward section. Now, don't panic. Some of you maybe seen me do this, some of you have not. See, what happens is this. If I want this length, in order for something to swing back and do this, it needs length. If I take it too short because they say it's in their eyes, and I take it up here, then I don't have enough length for it to swing. So what causes it to fall in their eyes is number one, length, number two, weight, number three, growth pattern. So you can control that by working with a reversible blending shear. All you simply need to do is comb, over direct, elevate. Now understand lines. I'm going to cut short to long inside of here. But what I don't want to do is take this shear and go 1, 2. If I do that, now you created a solid textured line inside of an existing line of length. So what I want to do is I want to go through and I want to create a textured edge inside of this. So why not just place this with the blunt edge down? Look at the line I have. Okay, can you see that? Type a yes if you can. Come on, guys. Give me a yes. Okay? Give me a yes. I'm not cutting anything until I get a yes. I'm not moving. Come on, guys. I'm not moving. Okay? You want me to move? Type a yes. Okay, there we go. I got one. Yay! I got a yes. Somebody out there is alive. I'm glad. Here we go. Watch. Short to long. Now watch what I'm going to do. As I said, I don't want to go in here, take this and go boom, boom. Now you cut a hard line of length, textured edge, just softly inside of an existing line. I know that if I cut this short to long, it's going to make that hair go that way. But what I want to do is I want to come through, lay it flat, and I weave it like a highlight. Now look at what I've done. I weaved it. Now I got it short to long, close. Now backstroke on it. Now by backstroking on it, it's actually pulling the hair that I have inside my fingers here, my left hand here. It's pulling it and moving it to a different position. So I close on the same spot, but look at that hair move. It's never the same line. And that counters this idea of 1, 2, a solid line. Let's just look at this line. Now watch, I'm going to teach you everything. When you comb a tangle out, take your comb and go vertical. So look how I'm easily and not pulling and taking the tangle out. If I come through and go the traditional route of horizontal and do this, now I'm putting the tangle in deeper. So come in, get the tangle out, now comb through. Let's comb through this line now. You saw what I did, okay? Let's take a look at it now. Now look inside how you don't see that line at all. But what I've done is I created a texture line of short to long inside of that. Let's do another one. So let's put this one down, okay? Let's take another one. Okay, going to give you a little bit more stronger profile view of that. Here's the section. Now notice how when I'm texturizing here, I'm not just picking this up and texturizing it. I'm elevating, I'm over directing, and I've got a finger angle, in this particular case, my scissor angle. Now I'm going to weave it, and I control how much I weave based on density. I close, I open backstroke, I open, close, backstroke. And what happens, once again, by backstroking on that, every hair is moving to a different cutting position. So I'm getting no solid line inside. So that was a big question I had in terms of why do you backstroke that? And then the next thing that's important is you've got to close the shear to cut some hair. Now watch this side now. Now watch. Look how I didn't take off any length. But what I want you to watch is watch the control I now have on this side. Look at the control I have on that. Can you see the difference? Look at the difference on that. See, that's what I'm talking about, guys, is just start controlling these areas. Start going in and developing, I think, as you move into back behind the chair, get into this whole idea of problems and solutions. Find out what the problem, the opportunity is, and have the solution for them. Opposite side now. Watch. Opposite side. Okay, now I haven't blow dried this or anything, so she's got a little bump happening there. Not a problem. All right, here we go again. Think about what you want to do now. Elevate, soft, over direct, getting shorter to longer. Look at the line. Short up here to longer down there. Now I'm going to weave this direction. So I come in, I weave, and I controlled it. Okay, and I open and close. Now let's leave that. That tells me I did that one already. So move to the next section. So don't comb it out right away. That'll tell you what you've done. Okay, now come in. Lift. Now, guys, anytime you have a side fringe, let's say she's got a bob and she has a side fringe and it's bothering her and it doesn't stay down, this is a great way to go in, and without releasing length, you're creating more control by releasing weight. And you're giving it direction because you're cutting a short to long diagonal line inside of that. And I got to tell you guys, this is, find ways to solve those opportunities, problems. Okay, now look, when I go through, I comb this back. Take a look. Look at the control I got out of that. Now look at the control I got out. And I haven't blow dried this, guys. I've just been cutting today. I haven't blow dried anything. And look at the control I've got out of that in regards to how this is working. Look. See, and this is where it's at, I think. It's all about simplicity. Just finding simple ways that give you the texture, but create a sense of enthusiasm at the chair. Take a different approach. You know, challenge yourselves now to take a different approach. You know, it's all about, everybody keeps talking about express. Well, express to me just means finding another way to express yourself. Okay? So don't think about it's not another way of getting and going faster. I don't think that's the idea. Andrew and I have talked a lot about that in regards to that. It's more about just finding ways to discover that create a little bit more sense of opportunity. So it's real simple. Minimize your work to maximize the impact. Let me say that again. Minimize your work, my friends, to maximize your impact. So this didn't take me, it's not the traditional what I was taught to layer to get this Farrah Fawcett, if you will, haircut. It's a haircut I used to do way back in the 80s, but I've discovered another way which is much more challenging to me, and it fits. So the past is where we learn, and the future is where we apply it. So we have to understand that. Shears I used. I worked with a 6.25 signature series. I worked with our reversible blender. And remember, the tools today, shears and electrics, are 50% off. I want everybody to take advantage of that. The 28th to the 30th of December at Salon Centric. So make sure you see your sales consultant. Make sure you see that person, or go online. Salon Centric, 50% off till the 30th. These are the two that I worked with. I also worked with a dry cutting clip. I'm doing a lot of dry cutting. I love this because it doesn't leave the marks in the hair, especially if I go in and I flat iron something and then come back and start blow drying it. Notice I worked with two combs. I worked with a black comb and a white comb. And once again, when I'm working with my blondes, I'll work with black. When I'm working with darker levels of color, I'll work with white. One of my favorite tools that really saves me is the Reversible Blender. This is a great, great tool if you're layering out a lot of blondes. If you're working with blondes and you layer them, you know what you see. You see the cuts in the hair, those lines. This will help save you guys in regards to that. Watch, I'm going to prove it to you. Permission to make a mistake. Now watch my mistake. Look at that cut. And that was so fun and easy to do. Long hair, guys, keeping long layers into it. So let's go right here. Permission to make a mistake. Give me a thumbs up. Come on, give me a thumbs up. Permission to make a mistake. I got to show you something. Thumbs up? Thumbs up? There it is. I saw one. Okay, here we go. Right here. So now watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this, guys, and this is what happens when we layer blondes. Watch what I mean. Okay, this is what happens. Okay, permission to make a mistake. Now watch. Okay, now you can see that blunt line right there. You can see it. Okay, see that blunt line? Now watch what I'm going to do. Whenever you see a blunt line, place the palm of your hand underneath it. Take the spine of the comb, roll it up against that, and now that line pops right up. So you're picking, the majority of the hair you're picking up is what needs to be cut. There's nothing worse than trying to slice it and do it. Put your hand, as soon as you see it, come in, roll the comb, put your hand, roll the spine up, and you picked up what you need to go after. Now watch this. Okay, so I'm going to come through. I'm going to take the Reversible Blender. Okay, now this shear here, the Reversible Blender, this blade, the blunt blade is dull. It's over polished, so it pushes the hair in the teeth, so you get more of a curved effect. Okay, so you're not getting straight lines. You immediately will get lines that are curved. Watch how I'll just kind of push that hair that direction when I close. And then I'm going to slide out. So now look how I'm just coming in, and I'm just placing the shear in, and I'm just coming through, and I'm just sliding out. So I come through at an angle, and look, I'm just taking some of that hair, not all of it. Now watch this line. You saw that line. Now watch how that line is gone. And you can see it's gone, guys. And I haven't blow dried this. And a lot of times, natural movement, you'll see that. I love this shear. This is called the Reversible Blender. Okay? All right, so let's just recap. Once again, what I wanted to do was just introduce another way of layering what I call the shift. And this comes way back. The past is where we learn. The future is where we apply it. And this kind of comes back, reminds me of the idea of this haircut that we created back in like the 90s, I believe it was. And we called it the shift, where we just shifted the angles of what we were cutting. And that was what made it really cool. Okay? So now let's recap that. All I simply did was take a diagonal back to the top of the ear. I did this on both sides. Once I was there, I just took a half moon from that diagonal line just below the crown area. So it looked like that on a profile. Once we did that, then I divided 4 separate areas in this back. Watch again. I'm going to draw this out for you again so you can really see this. Okay? Move to me over here, right over here. Follow me, guys. I'm going to put some closure on today. I did this. Once I did that, then I had 4 areas. And I got to tell you, this is a great way to layer hair. Find other ways to do things, guys. So I came through, I took a section down the center, and then I said, let's look for those corners. So we look for a corner area here and a corner area here. So you basically have 4 areas in the back, 4 rectangle areas, behind the ear, left of center, and right of center. Then what we did, I'm going to use red and black. Oh no, I'll use green and black. Okay, this is where I started. Take a horizontal section. I elevated this section. I wanted it shorter in the center and longer on the outside. I cut that angle as steep as I could. Okay, then I took my next section. Okay, and I clipped this down with a clip pointed that direction. So now when I elevate this one here, I stopped at that short point. I just pinched this, used that as my guide, and I cut an angle going the opposite way. And I just continue to shift these angles. Here's my black. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and then I did my last one. And I just shifted each one. See, by shifting that angle each direction, it immediately gave me the texture. And I did that on both sides. So we did here, 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 and here. So we did that 4 times in the back. 4 sections, just shifted the angle. So once again, it looks like this. Here's my black, okay? Then I shifted the green. So the green did this. Now next one, black comes up, goes that direction, and green goes that direction. So you just keep shifting the angle. It's just a great way to layer hair out.